All right, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you, wherever you are in this great big world of ours. Welcome to the Voice for the Paranormal. We are Windsor, Ontario's own, the Paranormal Voice. My name is Michael John of Michael John Paranormal, and my co-ghost host along with me, of course, is the man of the hour, the man of the power, too sweet to be sour. He is the one and only high spirits headman, Dale Quigley. And today, I cannot believe who we have. This is a hat trick, if you will. Third time as a charm, 3 times a charm, 3 times. This is the third time we have this man on here. He is a Hollywood author, Hollywood actor, stuntman, paranormal investigator, and founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He is the one and only Mr. Rick McCallum. Rick, welcome to the TPV Nation.
Well, thanks. And of course, there's only one Rick, because after they made me, they say they broke the mold. They didn't break it. They just didn't want any more of me coming around. So that one's enough. Break that mold.
Well, Rick, it's such a pleasure to have you back on the show again. We always enjoy every time you come on here. You are so filled with knowledge. It's so much fun to talk to. We're just so happy you had the time to come back and talk to us again. And for all of our viewers out there, if you've got a question for Mr. Rick McCallum here, just make sure you type it into the comment section below, and we'll make sure we get your question out on the show. So with all that being said, let's get things under the way. Rick, it's been just a little while since we saw you, so a lot of things have been happening in your life. So for the people that don't know who you are, and I can't believe that nobody would know who you are, but can you tell us a little bit about your very first paranormal experience?
Well, I can, as a matter of fact. It was a long, long time ago. I was 13 years old when it happened. And as you can see, this is not paint. Okay? It was a long time ago. My grandfather had died in one of the cleaning your gun accidents.
Oh.
And it's possible it really did. He was a security guard. So he wanted to be buried in Paducah, Kentucky. We lived in Chicago at the time. And my mom and I, my mom had no money to speak of. I was 13, I had none. But we got him on a train, and we took a train to Paducah, where the first surprise we had was we found out that my grandfather, Joe Kelly, who was 100% Irish, his brother was there, and his real name was Leonidas Vaholius. He was 100% Greek. So, hello, a little bit of a difference. So we took him to the funeral home, and then because we'd gone there so fast, we didn't have a hotel to stay in, and the cab was out of the thing because of money. So we started walking, and it wasn't real far away from the funeral home, but there was this one 2-story brownstone with, the neon sign right outside the second floor window that was flickering. It looked like a horror movie. So we go in there. My mother asks how much a room is, and the guy tells her, and she goes, "Okay, we'll take it." He goes, "Well, I've only got one left, and I have to tell you that it's haunted." Now, I wasn't very close to my grandfather, who didn't really know him very well. 13 years old, and I'm going to be staying in a haunted room. Yes! I felt like golden ticket to Disneyland. Yeah, baby, right? So we go upstairs, and it's been a long day. We're just really bored, really tired out. And when we get up there, it looks like a volleyball court. It's all wooden floors, and it's a big rectangle, and it's about 20 feet across. And on each wall, there was a rolling bed. So my mother gets in hers, I get mine. And in the middle of the night, I hear her scream. And I look up, and I see her bed rolling really fast across the floor towards me, right? And then as I'm sitting there, I realize that my bed is moving, and I'm rolling towards her, and the bed's slammed together in the middle of the room. And we just sat there and looked at each other for like five seconds or so. My mother looks at me and she goes, "Well, I guess that guy downstairs is right." Right? So this is long before any of the shows on TV and stuff. My mother was a very smart woman, and we decided to debunk it. We never even heard the name debunk, but we wanted to see if there's any plausible explanations. So I went back and got next to the wall and shoved the thing as hard as I could. It went 3 feet. Now these things both went over 10 feet and hit together. We tried putting things on the ground to roll them, to see if maybe the floors were warped in a truck and made them. None of that. So the guy was right. That room was haunted. And after that, I'm glad we have video, because what I always tell people, here's what happened to me that day. I was hooked. I was hooked.
So, in light of bringing that up, your first book here, which it's called, I'm going to put up here. Hopefully, we can see it. Ghosts Believe in Me, by yourself, Rick McCallum, and that just won an award. Can we hear about that real quick before I get to my question?
Yeah, it's actually from 2020, because that's when the book came out. That was actually the Paranormal Award Show Book of the Year. And the really funny thing about it is I had never heard of the Paranormal Awards. I didn't know I was nominated for one. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that I'd won one. It was when I was on a show like this, and the guy said, "Hey, congratulations on your book." And I was like, "Oh, thanks," because that's what everybody says when you write a book, especially to me, because I think most people don't think I can even read a book, much less write one. But the guy goes, "No, you won the Paranormal Award Show Book of the Year." And I said, "Send me something that says that." And he did. He sent me the video, and like Nick Groff won, Adam Berry, won. And I was like, "Oh, this is a real deal. Holy cow." Right? So it was pretty cool. I didn't even know it existed, but there I was.
Now, mentioning Nick Groff, earlier in reading through your book, you had an opportunity. You were on Ghost Adventures with R.A. and Kane at one point. And now, was that the eve of the creation of Hollywood Ghost Hunters?
No, Hollywood Ghost Hunters was several years earlier than that. Okay. It actually got started at Mansfield Reformatory, which is Mansfield Prison in Ohio.
Yes.
So Kane and I decided we wanted to go ghost hunting together after ghost hunting there. And as R.A. says, we were looking for another pretty face, so we got him. Somebody told me, they said, "You're the best looking of the three." I said, "Well, we didn't really raise the bar very high, I'll tell you that." Every time we go on a movie set, they put a mask on us. How good looking can we be?
Oh, so the opportunity to be on a show like Ghost Hunters, it's got to be one of the longest running ghost shows still going to this day. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, it wasn't actually Ghost Hunters. It was actually
Ghost Adventures. Sorry.
Although the people that were, real players behind it are now with the Dark Zone, and I happen to be a member of their streaming platform. And they also went to Scotland with us and filmed some of our adventures, which was really cool. When you got people like that filming you, you've got some real professionals. Yeah. So that was very cool. But Kane and Zach met at a horror thing where they had horror and Paracon and paranormal people.
Okay.
And Zach just said, we'd love to get you on the show. And they said, all right, well, we'll do it. So it's actually a lot of fun. They're really good guys.
So let's go back to books. You got a second book out. Number one, what's the title of the book? Please do the honors.
The second book is called The Spirits Are Out There and They're Waiting for You.
Nice. So what is the essence, or if you will, the story of the second book? Why did you write a second book? What compelled you?
A lot more adventures to talk about. A lot of people don't know, but I go to Scotland every year for a month. And I'm also a lifetime member of Scottish Paranormal, which is one of the best groups I've ever come across. And I've been to Ireland. I've been to England. It's been a lot through Scotland. I've ghost hunted in Australia, Switzerland, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas. So I actually have a few stories to tell, right?
One or two, yeah.
Yeah, so it's there's some other stuff that's just about me as I was growing up, and then there's mostly it's about the ghost hunting, and a lot of it's about Scotland because I had just been the leader of a tour to Scotland, and 9-day tour. We went to a lot of really cool places.
Wow, 9-day tour.
That would sounds like it'd be a lot of fun to hang out with you for 9 days, going in and out of castles in Scotland. So, out of all the places you've investigated in Scotland, tell us your most interesting interaction you've ever gotten.
Let's see, where would that be? There's so many. Balgony Castle I've been to many times. Became friends with the laird of the manor. A laird and a lord are exactly the same thing, but in Ireland they call it the lord. In Scotland they call it the laird.
Okay.
He and I got to be very good friends. So he just passed away about a month ago, which is, of course, he wasn't mad. He wouldn't have been mad about it. He was 93. So
Wow,
and I was lucky
that's
enough.
good life.
I was lucky enough to see him twice before I came back to the United States. So I know the last time I was talking to him, he reached up and he grabbed my hand and we were looking at each other, and I knew that I wouldn't see him again. So, but yeah, Balgony Castle has quite a bit of stuff. One of the ones that was really cool, I was sitting there and they had a Frank's box, and they were all asking questions. I said, "Do you mind if I ask one?" They said, "No." I said, "Is there anything in the castle we need to be afraid of?" And it says in a Scottish accent, "The energy." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, that was pretty good. But we had some interesting stuff like Airth Castle where we were at. We were getting some major EVPs. And Inverary Jail, we got a really great EVP. Cheryl Plum asked, she ghost hunts with us a lot, and Mikey Thompson ghost hunts with us a lot, says, what, because they were in the courtroom, said, what were you charged with? And I mean, as clear as a bell, it comes back murder.
Wow.
They asked what the name was, and he said Owen. So they actually have a computer in Inverary Jail where you can look up the former inmates. And there were 3 Owens, and one of them was actually charged with murder. So that was
kidding.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
a pretty cool catch. But one of the funniest things that happened was at Airth Castle. One of the people that was with the building brought us in there, and he wasn't really into the paranormal, shall we say, right? And we had just been asking something, and Mikey has a DR60 recorder. That's the old one that you get some pretty good stuff on. And we were just playing back what it said. We'd asked, like, what do you want us to do? And the guy opens up the door just as we start to play it back. And he starts to walk in, and the recorder goes, "Get out." And he goes, "Okay." And he turned around and walked right out the door. I mean, he walked in, turned gone. So those were some pretty good ones. Inverary Jail, we had something very interesting. When there's actually 2 parts of it, two buildings, and I was in there with Lori Dorsey on one side, and Lori had several foot operations, so stairs are kind of rough for her, but not now because she's going crazy, doing all these laps because she wants to do the West Highland Way walk in Scotland, which is 96 miles. So,
Wow.
but I had already gone down and I was waiting for her. She was probably 6 steps up, but it curves, so I couldn't see her, but I could hear her. And just as she got to the part where she'd be coming around, I heard somebody run down the stairs. And I mean, not like, I mean, like, right?
Yeah.
And I ran over to the thing, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, yeah, no. And she comes around the corner, and she goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Why do you think I'm standing like this?" Yes. But Scotland, if you guys ever get a chance to go, is a phenomenal place. That's why I go back there all the time. I'll tell you one more. There's another place called Calton Hill, which is where there's like all these things in Edinburgh up on top of a hill. And you can see the Queen's Palace from there. You can see Edinburgh Castle, and you can see all of Edinburgh. And there's about 75-yard long asphalt strip that goes up the side of the hill where you can walk up or down, and it's got a handrail in the middle. So, no matter which way you're going, you can get some handrail, to help you. And Lori was on one side and I was on the other. There's nobody ahead of us. And we're walking along, and right in my ear, I hear this guy, and he didn't sound happy. He just went, "Pardon me." And I turned around, and there's nobody there. And I look down, and we're almost to the top. I can see like 70 yards of nothing, and there's nobody in front of us. And it's like all enclosed, with trees and stuff like that. It's just a walkway. And I turned around and looked at Lori. I said, "Did you hear that?" And she goes, "Pardon me?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, I did." So, you don't even have to be ghost hunting, and you'll get stuff.
That's fantastic.
I will tell you something though. Before that, when I came out of Calton Hill one night by myself, there's a really old time graveyard there, really creepy looking. And I went in just to walk around. And one of the things that happened, there were two girls there. And just as I had walked in, I saw them up there, and they were, trying to take pictures and stuff. They're only like 15 yards into the graveyard. And I looked, and I saw this guy stand up, and obviously a homeless person, and was kind of sneaking around the things towards them. Right. And he didn't see me coming up the steps. So I just walked up there and just started talking to the girls. And I said, "Girls, there's somebody over there. Just be careful." Right. So anyway, they left. And I go to the back, and there's two young girls back there, right? And they're got their little equipment out. And the one girl comes up and says to me, she goes, "Can we walk with you?" And I said, "Sure, why?" She goes, "Oh, we're really scared. It's dark, it's foggy, we're really scared." I said, "Sure, I understand. I was always afraid of graveyards when I was alive." And I have to tell you something. Young girls are really fast. I think I heard a sonic boom about halfway through there.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! That would be the classic moment to catch on camera. Something like that. That would be a part of a really good blooper reel.
Out of all these places you've been, and you've been to a lot. We could literally say Rick McCallum has been to the A to the Z of places to haunt. But there's still so many out there that you would, before we got on, that you would love to go to and get a chance to go to. Give us your top three. You had to choose your top three. These are the places on my bucket list I'm going to. That's it. That's all. And why?
I think my first one would be the Tower of London. A lot of tortures. A lot of people died up there. A lot of people were held captive in there. Another one would be right down the street from me here, maybe 5 miles at the most, is where John Holmes and those people were involved beating the people to death with the pipes. If you remember that, the movie called Wonderland about it, I think it was called. And if there's any place where there's, some residual energy, when you get beat to death with pipes, that's probably one of the spots.
I guess.
And I think for the third one, I'd have to save that one just so in case something popped up. Because I have been to a lot of the ones that I really wanted to go to, like the Hellfire Club, the Lep Castle, done some stuff in England, which England is really haunted too. As a matter of fact, the first time I ever saw a full body apparition was in England, and it was it was a place called Norwich Theatre in Yorkshire, and it was only like 5 feet away from me. The story is actually in the first book. The story is actually on the back cover. If you take a look, you just see a blurb from a girl named Mandy Fellows, and you can read it off if you want to, if you can find it. Yeah, it's on the back cover. But that and Bolton Abbey, the two places we went, majorly haunted.
It's too dark in here for me. Sorry.
That's okay. But no, she just talks about when we were down in Norwich Theatre, there was it was an actual theater, not a movie theater. And we went down below, and they had half of the basement area there had a big pipe right across the middle, so you couldn't go across. And on the other side, there was about 10 feet of opening. And then there's where they used all the drapes and curtains and stuff like that. And they said, whatever you do, don't go on the other side of this. Right? There's probably 6 or 7 of us downstairs. And I turn around and I look, and I'm leaning against the pipe, right? And I see somebody standing 5 feet away from me, looking down like this. And I think it's somebody looking at a cell phone or looking at the K2 meter. And I turn around to say something to Mandy, like, "Not supposed to be in there, right?" Right. And I turn around and look at her, and her eyes are real big. And I went, "Oh," and I turn around, there's nobody there. And the whole thing took like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then she looks at me and she goes, "You saw him too, didn't you?" And I said, "I sure did." So that was really cool. Another apparition I saw was in Culross Palace in Scotland. We were just taking a daytime tour. My friend Linda Whiteford is manager there. She took us on a little tour through there. I'm standing there and I see a guy walk by the doorway, and I walk into the room and there's nobody there. And I saw him clear as day, right?
Sure.
So that happens to me a lot, though. I mean, I have things happen to me everywhere I go. And one thing I talked about when I did my speech is how many times I get my own name on tape or just hear it outright. I'd been at the Orange County Paracon doing my speech, and then the last thing I said, "By the way, I get my name called out all the time." I said, "People make fun of me for it." So anyway, I start to walk away, and there's a mother and daughter in the front row, and they said they wanted to ask me a couple of questions. Well, everybody's clearing out. There's nobody behind me, okay? And I stop and I start talking to them, and we hear behind me, "Rick," a girl's voice. And I turn around and I look, and I turn around and look at them, and they looked at me and they smiled. And I said, "Did you hear something?" They said, "We heard a lady's name say Rick." And I said, "Happens all the time."
I mean, that's so you. I mean, we've always heard the stories throughout history of movie sets, of hauntings on movie sets. Have you ever had any experiences at any of the movies you've done? Had a paranormal experience during a filming event?
Not while we were filming, but while we were on the set, I did, because I made friends. I'm not allowed to say the name of the studio, but it's not
Right.
it's not one of the bigger ones.
Right.
I talked to a security guard, and he was saying, "Yeah, this is the second floor. It's really haunted." I said, "It's okay if I go up there?" And he said, "Yeah." So I brought, K2 and a voice recorder the next day, and I asked a couple people if they wanted to go with me. It turned out the makeup girl said she would go. So we go upstairs, we start walking along, and I'm getting K2 hits all over the place, right, in response to what I'm asking. And we look down the way, and we see this shadow go across. There was a light underneath the door, on the door at the very end of the hall, and you could see like the legs and stuff along with the dark shadow go across it. And I looked over and I said, "You see something?" She goes, "The big shadow at the end." I said, "Yeah." Well, the funny thing was these two guys came up. One was an actor and one was a security guard for the set, but not for the building. And the guy comes up and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're ghost hunting." And he goes, "I don't believe in that. Ghost hunting, blah, 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 blah." I'm just doing, bad mouthing spirits right and left. And I'm like, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Right. And he goes, "Why not?" I said, "Because they don't like it." Right.
No,
And he goes, "Well," he said, "Have you found anything?" I said, "Yeah. Matter of fact, we just heard voices right in front of us here a minute ago." And he goes, "What? You heard voices?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What's that thing in your hand?" I said, "Well, that's a K2 meter, and it picks up electromagnetic field. And if it all of a sudden goes off when there's nothing setting it off, a lot of people think that might be a ghost, right?" So he goes, "I don't believe in any ghosts." And I said, "Well, the more lights you get, the stronger it is." And I said, "Can you give us a 5-light response?" Right? Bam! Instantly. And all I heard was, "Son of a bitch." And I had this on tape. You can hear the two of them running down the stairs. Running, so. But the makeup girl hung in. It's pretty cool. Another couple other people came up and they hung out with me for a while. So that was cool.
I mean, there's probably a lot of history when you think of a lot of these movie theaters or production places, because if you hear accidents happening on movie sets and stuff like that, I've always wondered, like, the buildings themselves, like, just how fun it would be to investigate some of those places to see what's happened and to see the response you would get.
Well, Universal has people that have seen Lon Chaney running through the catwalks.
No way.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's let's just be honest. There's spirits everywhere.
Oh,
And the whole thing is, you're not going to see them until they want you to see them.
right.
Yes.
Unless it's a residual, and then everybody sees it. But an intelligent haunting, you will not see anything, hear anything, unless they want you to, interact with them.
Right.
So I want to know. Well, go ahead, Dale.
I was just going to say, so this is your third time on the show. We always enjoy your stories. You've got the greatest stories. Now, being from the California area, tell us, have you ever had a UFO experience?
I have, but not here. Not here. I've had 4 in my life.
Wow. Can you tell us about any of them?
Well, I can tell you right off the bat that the best one I got was recently in right outside Las Vegas. And if you've ever driven to Las Vegas, there's a solar farm about 35 miles out of there. And I just thought, I was saying to myself as I was driving, I said, if I was a UFO, this is the place I'd land, because it's a huge solar panel places with mirrors, pointing up, and light. It's really pretty cool looking. So I took my camera and I just held it out the window and took a picture. Well, when I got back, I started looking at my pictures. I was like, wait a minute, there's something else in here. And I looked down, and there was a shape that was triangular, this way, not this way.
Okay.
It was this way, flying through there, and it had 5 lights right behind it.
Wow.
And it was transparent. And I was like, not a reflection, because I didn't have the window up.
Right.
So that one was really interesting. Another one I had found out that I didn't even know I had. It's actually on my screen, and I had never noticed it. It's at St. Andrews Golf Course. And they have a place there called the Swilken Bridge, which is very famous in golf. It's like, it's a little rock bridge that they have to walk over on the 18th hole. And everybody that retires stands there on the bridge and looks off in the distance, before they go. But I was standing on the bridge, and I had gotten a girl to take, a picture of me on there. Well, she did the burst mode, Okay. When I got back, I said, "Oh, I like this one." I put it up on my screen. Well, I've got a lot of folders, and I never realized I was hiding something under one of the folders until I started to rearrange them, and I went, "How is that?" And the famous Tic Tac?
Yeah.
It looks like that, but it's brown. And
Oh, wow.
It's probably 400, 500 yards away from me, because I'm at one end of the course and I can see over by the Royal and Ancient building.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that made me think it was a UFO couldn't have been a bird. It was too big from 500 yards away. You would barely be able to see anything. Wasn't an airplane, because what I did is when I found the thing in the picture, I went back and looked on burst mode, and nothing. There it is, nothing. And you know how fast 5 pictures go in burst mode? They're like 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing that I can see is there's a cart way off in the distance, and I can see it move, and it moves like that far, but you can see it move. So whatever this was in there and out of there faster than your eye can see, practically. And I have that one also I caught on there. And 2 others I just saw staring at the night sky, and they did the famous thing, go this way and then gone. One was in Gasky up near the Redwood Forest. Another one was out in either Arizona or New Mexico in the middle of the night. I pulled off just to look at the stars, and they decided to show me something. So that was cool.
So what do you think? I mean, with seeing that, those experiences, I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole extraterrestrial, aliens, modern beyond modern technology? What is your theory on what's going on with what you saw?
Well, I think UFOs have been here for thousands of years. Okay. I really do. I do have a theory, though, that maybe it's not an advanced civilization, that maybe it's us from the future.
I like that.
Because we already know that we can, they've already made things move in time. I don't know if you know that. It was something that it only moved like minuscule amount of, but it did actually move in time. So they know they can do it, but they don't have enough power to do it, is the problem. So
Okay.
now, if you can extrapolate here, if you go back to 1860s, you know, they had the gunfight at the OK Corral.
Okay.
1969, roughly 100 years later, they landed on the moon. Now, if you can extrapolate that kind of scientific jump to 1,000 years from now, what do you think we would be able to do?
Right.
Absolutely.
So I kind of think that that's the more likely the case. Although, if you look at the stars, and there's 80 gazillion of them, got to think we're not the biggest deal in the whole universe,
Right.
So be interesting. I will answer one question that you didn't even ask, but it kind of goes with the whole thing. I've been asked before on different shows and things, what do I think about the moon landing? They say, do you think it's a fake? And I said, no, and I can prove it. And they're like, how can you prove it? I said, it's just sheer logic. When that was going on, we were in a huge space race with Russia,
Yep.
who has spies, great telescopes, all kinds of satellites up there. Did anybody ever hear the Russians say it was fake?
Nope.
Okay. And they would have the most eyeballs on the situation, right?
Yes.
And the fact is that on that launch, there were 40,000 people involved. And that's, 70 years ago, something like that, 60 years ago. Not one person has ever come forward.
Right.
So I think it's really obvious. We went to the freaking moon and came back.
Yeah.
And you can say all you want. And the fact is, the lunar lander is still sitting on it. How'd that get there?
Yeah. And it's actually true that nobody really I've never really heard anybody really try to disprove that it never happened, because more people are more interested in trying to disprove ghosts don't exist more than astronauts landing on the moon.
And exactly what you're saying, Rick. I mean, if anybody would want to disprove it, it would be Russia for sure.
Yeah, and they were watching everything that was going on, every inch of it.
Yes.
And they never said a word. Nobody from NASA, the 40,000 people, ever said a word.
Yeah.
By the way, you know who ended up being one of the NASA? I don't know if he was on that, but ended up being one of the NASA people was the young boy that was the actual kid from The Exorcist that they based The Exorcist on. He ended up being working at NASA.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a total that's interesting facts. I never even realized that before.
Yeah, well, they kept him hidden for a long, long time, and it wasn't a girl; it was actually a boy. And there's a book out. I read it several years ago that talks the one priest that was there. It was his eyewitness stuff, and it'll curl your hair.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe your beard, Michael.
So, of all the times you've been probably to Las Vegas and stuff like that, have you ever been tempted to go to Area 51?
No, because you can't get in there. Can't even get close. All these people say they're going to, storm Area 51. Really bad idea. Right? It is probably the most guarded place in the United States. It has sensors, it has lights, it has helicopters, it's got roving bands of security, and they do not play.
Right. They shoot.
In other words, there's a lot of places you can hop over the fence and run in, and they'll catch you and say, "Don't ever do that again."
Yeah.
You jump over the fence at Area 51, they might not ever see you again.
Yeah.
Because nobody really knows what goes on there. They speculate that that's where they took crashed UFO things and are reverse engineering it, because I've heard that. But it's also places where we're developing our biggest spy planes. So obviously wouldn't want people around there either looking at that. So yeah, nobody's getting into Area 51.
So now let's compare this. I'm going to go another level higher than UFOs and extraterrestrials, and let's look at the possibility of interdimensionals.
Well, I think that's probably not only likely. I think it's almost positively happens.
Okay.
You know, it's really strange because sometimes I wonder if some of the apparitions we see are interdimensional.
Yes.
Because they're right there and then all of a sudden gone. You know, and it's not like your usual.
My screen just there. Did you
Yeah,
see that?
you just had something go right across your screen.
You saw that, right?
Up and down, yeah. It was a white thing went through you.
It happens a lot. Lately, it's been happening a lot in this room. Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to point that out.
No, that's okay. You know, actually, I was on a show with a couple girls, and I was talking, and they both screamed at the same time. And I said, well, "What's the matter?" And they said, "We just saw a shape of a shadow go right across on those blinds behind you." And I went,
nice.
I said, "There's two spirits in here that I know of." So,
yeah,
I will tell you a funny story about that. My nephew Gianni was over. He was 6 at the time, and he was the kid that you would say is the one that's on, Red Bull and candy, because he's just like the Energizer Bunny on steroids. And he's, "Come on, Uncle Rick, let's wrestle." Right? So I'm down on my knees. We're in my living room and we're wrestling. And all of a sudden he jumps straight up, puts his hands over his private parts and just kind of closes in and looks at me with big eyes. I said, "Jenny, what's the matter?" And he goes, "Uncle Rick, a man just walked right behind you." Right? I said, "Where'd he go?" He goes, "Into the bathroom." And I said, "All right, I got to go." And he goes, No, don't go. He was really scared. Right? I said, "If there's somebody in there, I have to go look." And he looks at me and he kind of muscles up a little bit. He goes, "Okay, I'll go with you." So I had 6-year-old backup muscle just in case, you know. So a lot of people have seen the guy. I've never seen him. I've had the interactions with the lady. I see his shadow all the time. There's a lady that died in this place. She pulls my hair just to let me know when she's here.
Right on.
Yeah.
So sorry, back to the interdimensionals in comparison too. That's what we were talking, and I interrupted with my little light there. But so in comparing like interdimensionals, you're saying, yeah, they could be in part and parcel with apparitions. And that the first time I heard that theory, I heard John E.L. Tenney talking about that at a talk.
Well,
and that opened my eyes.
Well, here's another thought for you. Suppose there is interdimensional, and 1,000 years from now, we know how to go from dimension to dimension. Okay.
So
who would say that all the other dimensions would have the same exact law of physics as ours do? Okay. What I'm saying is that if in the future we figure out how to get into the other dimension, maybe it only takes like 5 seconds to get here from the sun because it's a different dimension. So, you know, everybody's saying, well, how could these things get here and then they vanish? Gone. That's what happens. The other thing is too, it is what gets me is, by the way, they'll see something and then it'll vanish instantly.
Yeah.
Which makes you think it's more likely time travel.
Yes.
Time to go home. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
So there's so many things out there that are fascinating. I mean, it's we don't know. We still don't even know who killed Kennedy, for goodness sake. Well, we do know. They're just not going to tell us. I would tell you that I do know, but I'd be afraid people would come knock on my door and hit me on the head with a stick or something.
Yeah.
So Rick, question: live or dead? Who would be the one person you would love to investigate with?
Jesus. Did you hear what I said?
You said Jesus.
Yeah. Who's a better guide than that?
I guess that is so true, and I got to say we'll chalk that one up in the column as first of would one. I guess why not? Who would want who would not investigate the guy who created man and women?
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. Here's a guy that was supposedly dead and rose to heaven while he was still alive. Okay, I want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, because I
want that guy on my side.
Definitely a mixture of paranormal, what we just spoke about, interdimensional and extraterrestrial, all in one individual. I don't know what else to call him, but I mean, a lot of the stuff when they talk about experiences of him in the Bible, I mean, it's extraterrestrial, paranormal superpowers, if you will, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, exactly. I mean, he's alive and he's ascending to heaven. What is that? That sounds extraterrestrial to me. I mean,
well, let's put it this way. It sounds paranormal to me because that ain't normal. For a long time, just show you how smart I am, I thought paranormal was just two normals together.
That would be so true. So tell us, what is on the horizon for Mr. Rick? What are you going to be up to in 2023?
Well, I'm lucky that I'm going to be around. I mean, I just had my birthday 3 days ago.
happy birthday.
Well, thank you. And one of the things I do on my birthday every year is do as many push-ups as I am old at one time. That shit's getting hard. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore. I got to do a lot of freaking push-ups. But I did blow it away. I went way past my age. I did 78 in a row. So
nice.
I can live some more.
And you are in amazing shape, by the way. No doubt. I mean, you're flexing the guns for us earlier, showing us how tight your T-shirt is on you, which is great. You look 21, whatever your age is. You look about 21. The shape you're in, you know. So
well, dog years, maybe. I mean,
stop. No, you look very good. You look very good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, if someone wants to, get one of your books online, or even maybe reach out to you and ask you some questions or whatever, ask suggestions on where to go to hunt, etc. How can they reach out to you? How can they get your books?
Well, the book is available on Amazon, both of them. And if somebody wants a signed one, they can get hold of me. And, I don't charge anybody for signing them or anything else. And it ends up being roughly the same price as if you get it from Amazon. So, but that's just all you have to do to find me is just go to Facebook and put in my name.
Okay.
Or you can put in Hollywood Ghost Hunters. That'll still come to me. You can put in Ghosts Believe in Me. That'll come to me. So, and I love when people invite me to other places.
Well, we would love to have you up here in Canada sometime. I'm sure we could take you to a few places that you would find. We have up in the Niagara Falls area. We do have a lot of haunted forts, and there's one place in particular. It's called Mark's Cemetery, where if you're there in the evening, you can actually see a soul. There's a big stone that sits in the graveyard. And it's in the evening when you go there, you can see a silhouette of a soldier sitting there. And they said that's where he used to go when he used to think through all of his issues. So to this day, he still sits on that very stone in the graveyard that sits there.
Well, that sounds like a residual haunting to me.
Yep.
Which is still cool. I did do a ghost hunt at the Buffalo Central Terminal.
Oh, okay.
Me and I'm sure you're familiar with a guy named Jack Kenna.
Yep.
Jack and I led, a group of people on a ghost hunt, and the place was very haunted too.
So, have you ever been to Hinsdale?
I have never been to Hinsdale, and I grew up in Chicago, so I wouldn't have been that far. But I would like to get to Hinsdale.
Yeah, no, that place was pretty amazing. I love that place. I find it's more haunted on the outside than it is on the inside of the place. With the history.
Very possible. I mean, one place I went to last year that I really liked was Old Paulding Jail.
Okay.
That was actually pretty good. Enjoyed that one a lot too. So.
Where's that one at?
It's in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I gotta go back to England. I gotta go back to England real quick. Did you get a chance to get to the Ancient Rams Inn?
I did not. I was only there overnight, and we went to first the Norwich Theater, and then we went to Bolton Priory in Yorkshire. Okay. And that is by far the most haunted place I've ever been.
What's it called?
Bolton Priory, or sometimes they call it Bolton Abbey.
Okay.
And that's actually in the first book also. And it's the one girl that saw the apparition with me.
Yep.
We were walking out, and there's a story about Bolton Priory. There's an entity there that will keep you there, and there's a fence with a gate in it, and if it doesn't want you to leave, you can't get through the gate.
No
And
kidding.
Mandy Fellows was the leader of Anubis Paranormal. She is no rookie by any stretch of the imagination. And there was another girl named Carol Ann who had come with us, and she's not afraid of nothing, right? Well, we start to walk out, and Mandy has on a necklace, and if I recall right, it was a cross blessed by the Vatican. And I'm behind her, and I just happen to be looking as we get to the gate, and all of a sudden the thing goes like that and gave her like a skin burn and everything else. I saw it happen. And then she told me, she goes, I'm having a hard time going through the gate. And I said, look, just muscle up, go through. It can't stop you, right? So she gets through. And Carol Ann says, it's trying to stop me too. I said, I know it can't stop you, Carol Ann. Now, I go over there, and I didn't feel nothing. It was like, yeah, you can go. Go now. Don't let the gate hit you. Go on, get out. So, but yeah, that was a pretty interesting place. I'd like to go back to that one again. That was
sounds pretty surreal. Like, man, so many places you've been to. I mean, I can only dream of. Never say never. Maybe one day we'll get there ourselves. Maybe even better, we get to hang out with you somewhere. That would be on the bucket list for sure, Mr. Rick.
I'm all for that. Yeah. When I look at some of the places that I've been, I'm like, holy cow, I'm a pretty lucky dude,
Especially into like places like Scotland and Ireland. I mean, most paranormal investigators, besides the ones over there, they always say that's like their bucket list of places to go is Scotland and Ireland, and of course England, because of the rich history and the amount of places to investigate. I mean, I'm sure there's no shortage of places in any of those places to go.
Well, I've only been to Ireland and Scotland for a day apiece. We went in and we ghost hunted the Hellfire Club, which that's a picture of me on the cover of the book at the Hellfire Club, looking out the window, the book that you've got, Michael.
Yep.
And that was, that was.
My lights too. Sorry.
Yeah, you got to back it up. There you go.
There it is. Boom.
There it is.
Yeah, that's actually the Hellfire Club. And then we went to Leap Castle, which is one of the real crown jewels, supposedly, of ghost hunting.
Okay.
And something which you'll have to read the book because it's too long to say, but the Scottish paranormal people that I was with and the other people that I was with thought I was dying in the car. And they actually went in to talk to the Lord of the Manor and saying, how long does it take to get an ambulance here? Because we think Rick is dying. Meanwhile, out in the car, Rick was pretty sure he was dying. And fortunately, didn't turn out to be. But just to give you a quick thing, I had something when I was standing outside, and we had just gotten to Leap Castle, but we were an hour early, and they were having a party. So we parked out on the street. Yep. And it's rural. There's nothing out there. It looks like the Quiet Man, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we all get out. The guys run up to the bushes. I'm just standing there, and it's cold and windy. And it reminded me of Chicago so much. I was like, this is really cool. And all of a sudden, I felt like something just went right through my head, and water just started gushing out of my eye. And I grabbed my eye, and I thought to myself, and I mean, it almost knocked me out, the pain. Right, my knees buckled, and I started going backwards. And first thought it was that my eyeball exploded because where did all this fluid come from? Right, and the pain was ridiculous. And I looked down at the ground, and I went, Rick, you've been doing stunts for 40 years. Fall down now while you've got some control over it, right? Because I really thought I wasn't going to stay conscious.
Yeah.
But as I started to go down, I heard a voice say, if you hit the ground, you'll never get up.
Come on, wow.
Which will make you go to the old control and put it right into reverse. Do everything you can to stand up. And I staggered over, and I was hanging off the side of the car. And one of the guys saw me, and he jumped out and took me around behind the car, got me some water. And he says, come on, let's get in the car. And I said, no, leave me out here. I'm really woozy. And, maybe the cold air and the wind will help. So I was out there standing. And one of the things in the book, when you look, you'll see grayed out areas. And those are actually other people telling the story besides me. Anytime something really cool happens and somebody's there, I always let them say their version. Because if I'm writing a book, I can write down any damn thing I want. I can put down I'm the handsomest man in the world. I can bench press 700 pounds with one arm. I can put anything I want in there, right? But if something really, really cool happens and somebody's standing next to you and they can tell their version, gives it a lot more validity, right? Yeah. So the whole thing was so strange. I got in the car, and anybody wants to read the book, it goes into a lot of detail. And the other guys, actually, Allie with Scottish Paranormal had his thing in there, and he said he saw me hanging on the side of the car by one hand. He says, and he could tell I couldn't breathe because I was like, right? And he said the first thing he saw, he thought came into his head was when Rick falls down, he won't get up, which is exactly what I heard. Right?
Yeah.
So I get into the car, and I'm sitting in the thing, and we go up to the front, and everybody goes in. They said, well, sit out here with us. Just go and just let me relax. Right. So what else happened after that was really cool. But with this pain through the eye and stuff, Allie sent me a message. And he says, you're never going to believe this. I said, what? He goes, when we were at the Hellfire Club earlier? And I said, yeah. And he goes, just found out 2 guys had a duel there, and one of them got shot through the right eye and died.
Jesus.
So obviously that spirit attached to me and was showing me everything that had happened to him. And I mean, I'm trying not to be real melodramatic, but I knew that I was going to die.
Right.
And it's really weird that when that happens, you don't get all frantic. You're just like, okay. And I think what happened then is I just said out loud, I said, because my vision went like this first one, right? And I was like, well, that's not good. And then it went with a minute or two later, it went with the iris where it closes. And I mean, everybody that saw old movies, you know what that means. And it's the movie, right? So I'm like, oh boy. So I just said out loud, I said, I've got to see a lot of things and do a lot of things other people never will. And if today is my day, I'm okay with it. Yeah. And just a couple minutes after that, I felt my energy start coming back. My vision started clearing and stuff like that. So what I figured happened, it's just conjecture on my part. Nobody really knows, but it makes sense. But a spirit attached to me because he wanted someone to see what had happened to him. And when he heard what I said, if today's my day, no, back up. That's not what I want. Right? Because he just wanted somebody to see, and then he didn't want anybody to get hurt. So would I want anybody else to go through that? Never, not in a million years. But am I glad that I did? Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That is truly an experience. I mean, that I'm sure a lot of people would probably think twice about having that feeling of you actually going to die right there on that spot. And it really, that's truly amazing experience to take along with you.
Well, the best line of the whole night was we get inside, and now Scottish Paranormal is as good a ghost hunting group as you'll ever find. Matter of fact, one of my friends from Scottish Paranormal was on the TV show Haunted Scotland.
Okay.
But he said, they said to me, we really thought you were going to die. And I said, yes, so did I. Right? And they said, but we didn't know what we'd do if you died. And I said, seriously? Right? And then they go, yeah, really? I said, if I die somewhere with you guys, you better ghost hunt the hell out of me. What do you mean? Come on, man.
Fire up those EVP recorders and you're about to get the interview of a lifetime.
And I didn't say, what the hell is wrong with you? just cleaning it up for your show, but you guys get the idea.
You could say whatever you want on this show, Rick, and that's okay. Thanks for doing that, though.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't believe how fast this hour has gone by. Oh my God. And there's so many more stories you'd have, and we got to have you on again. We got to make a number 4 up the road this year coming up, time permitting for you, of course.
Well, let me think about it. Okay. That's always fun to be on your guys' show.
But that's what I was getting at. You are an awesome guest. You know what I mean? You're charismatic. You're a great storyteller. You're funny. You're witty. And that's what helps make us who we are, is because we get great guests like yourself. We've been very fortunate to get great guests just like yourself. You come on and we got a big long list of people commenting and saying stuff. That's my cat's tail right there. That's not a ghost. And that's what it is. I mean, the numbers don't lie. We get people watching because we have someone like yourself on. We have the Rick McCallum on, telling these years of experience, these years of stories and knowledge. So thank you so much on behalf of Dale, myself, Windsor, Ontario's own The Paranormal Voice, and of course the entire TPV Nation. Thank you so much, Dale. Real quick, let them know about our T-shirts that we're going to be sending one to Rick as well. But tell everybody about how they can get one.
Absolutely. We've got these really great T-shirts that are now available, flying off the shelves. Like, I've already had to restock these twice now. So if you want a T-shirt from us, get a hold of us at our email, theparanormalvoice@gmail.com, or send us a comment on right here on Facebook. Let us know what size you want. T-shirts are $25 Canadian. That includes shipping, and $20 US. But get yours, and you will not be disappointed. Or you can wait till Michael, John, or myself. We're going to be at quite a few events. Our schedule is starting to line up for next year. Stay tuned. We're going to release those details as soon as they become available, and you can come purchase one personally right from ourselves and get to say hi to us. Rick, once again, great pleasure to always sit down and talk with you. You're always a great person to talk to. I enjoy talking to you. It makes my hour worth. I can listen to you all day.
No, it was a lot of fun. I only have one last thing to say. Extra large, all cotton.
Absolutely. As they say, the T-shirt is in the mail.
I never listen to what they say because I figure that I am actually they, and I'm the one who says it. So I'm going to get a T-shirt that says "I am they."
I am they. That is that. Hey, and you would probably sell lots of them just because you came up with that.
Well, you know what I do though? Whenever I sell like the T-shirts and the books and stuff like that, most of the profits I send to St. Jude's. So
see, folks, that's even a better reason to go out and buy one of Rick's books or T-shirt. Get one of those fabulous Hollywood Ghost Hunter T-shirts. You're supporting a great cause. There we go.
Advertising.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, showing the love. So once again, Rick, thank you so much to all of our people who tuned in tonight to listen to Mr. Rick talk about his lifelong journey through the paranormal and all of his interesting stories. And as we always say here at TPV Nation, and in the meantime and in between time, what do we say, Michael John?
We say happy hauntings.